Okay, everyone. Good evening and welcome to this session for Dacorum's programme of support. We're working with Dacorum Council to provide support to businesses as they reopen yet again from our ongoing lockdown and COVID difficulties. Our programme of support is quite a widespread look at how businesses can improve what they're doing, make the most of the opportunities that are around them. And this particular session is one that we are really delighted to be bringing to you because we've had a lot of interest around social media, around people feeling like they want to know more, they want to be able to do a little bit more. I think particularly during the lockdown situation where a lot of businesses have been closed, it's been a way that they've been able to reach an audience that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to have reached. I'm Julie Holden, I'm the Community Director of Save the High. Can you, sorry, can some, who would like to go first?
Hey, Julie, I think you cut out for a moment for me.
Oh, sorry, shall I, okay, all right. So I'll say again then, I'd like to just introduce our panel. Nicola.
Hello. I'm Nicola from Moss Social, and I look after the Save the High Street social media.
And Fraser.
Hi, I'm Fraser Bell. I'm Customer Success Lead for Save the High Street and Joe. So good to see a few familiar faces watching and looking forward to working with more of you and providing the hands-on support over the coming weeks.
And Polly.
Hi, I'm Polly. I'm the CEO of Maybe. I'm delighted to be joining you here tonight. We're a partner with the High Street Task Force and collect the social media data for 3.9 million businesses across the UK so that everybody can understand how to get better, faster.
Okay, great. And so, as Polly mentioned earlier, for those who were not on the earlier introduction, we do have a chat facility at the bottom of the box there. You should be able to see the opportunity to drop any comments or questions into the chat facility. So we would encourage you please to do that. Please let us know if you've got any questions. We've had a few questions sent in to us in advance of today's session. So I think we'll just start off with certainly from Fraser's point of view. What Fraser wanted to do is to sort of talk around a couple of the key ideas that we share with businesses. So Fraser, would you like to start us off with perhaps one of the most popular ideas that we see coming through on the Joe platform, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Julie. So in terms of the program, people taking part, there's a quick plug for that here. So if you're a business in Dacorum, you're eligible to take part in the 8 weeks of support. In terms of the ideas that we cover, it's across a whole range of themes, but on social media specifically, we can basically, we're supporting businesses to get them up and running on all of the major platforms, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn if you're maybe a B2B business or you do a bit of B2B selling. In terms of what's proved popular so far over the first few weeks, it's been sort of people who've maybe got their accounts set up on these platforms but are looking for inspiration to either create new content. So what type of content should I be creating, and how can I sort of make the most of the audience that I've got? So I'm sure Polly, Nicola, and I will hopefully give a few ideas on this session. There's also been quite a few people asking about sort of how they should be paying, whether how and whether they should be paying the social media platforms for exposure. So hopefully that's something else that we'll cover and that we can provide a bit of support on as a follow-up to this with anyone that's interested. I think what we've also we'll probably come on to a little bit more is how to get the most out of the platform. So there's been a lot of questions about Instagram Reels and things like that too. So that's a bit of an overview of some of the questions that we've been answering and that we're starting to put plans in place with for businesses going forward. Does that sort of cover things off, Julie?
That certainly gets us started, Fraser. Thanks very much for that. One of the things that we were asked about in advance was really about building an audience. You know, how do I actually grow my customer base? So I'm wondering whether, Polly, maybe you could share a little bit of the information that you've been sharing with in other sessions about building and growing a customer base through social media.
Yeah, happy to do that, Julie. I think so. Social media is a little bit like writing. You can be a little bit sort of stuck in the headlights and looking at a blank sheet, thinking, "What do I post?" And I actually think that the one of the easiest ways to get started with social media is to think, well, actually, there's so much content out there. And remember that the most important thing is to join the conversation that already exists. So all of you in a place, there's already a conversation that's happening. So go and find the businesses that are really great at social media in your town. And if you don't know how to do that, it's something, it's at the heart of what we do at Maybe, and anybody can access this completely free of charge. You can look at the content from the businesses in your place and just engage with it, because the most valuable thing on social media is to be part of the conversation, and don't let not knowing what to post block you starting. And if you, as regard your own content, you know, take something fun, take a picture of something fun, make it human, be personable, be you. And that's why people follow you. Remember, social media isn't about scoring a home run. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up all the time. And it's my analogy is, you never want to be the person that goes into the pub. You remember, you can go into those things and shout. You want to go into the bar and say, "Hey, hi, how are you?" And engaging in other people's posts on social media is about saying, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And that's how you make friends, and that's how you grow an audience. And remember, social media is no different from turning up at a meeting or any form of social engagement. Have good manners, be polite, and you'll make friends.
That's really good advice. In terms of the sorts of platforms.
I think Julie's frozen. I think Julie was going to say, what sort of platforms do people use?
Yeah.
And Nicola, I mean, I would advocate, if you're a retailer, I think that Instagram is your window on the world. And if you're B2B, I'd start on Twitter and then use LinkedIn. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen Facebook seems to be almost impossible to get reach on these days. And that's probably why the questions have come up about how much do I have to spend on the platforms and Facebook advertising. So my advice is to hop on over to Instagram, which I know is owned by Facebook as well. But you seem to be able to get much better organic reach on Instagram. I think because it's easy to talk to people on that platform. You've got so much more engaging stuff that you can do. And as you've mentioned, the reels, the stories, you can post videos, which I know you can post videos on Facebook, but I think Instagram seems to be getting much more reach. And certainly, I know we're going to hop onto this later, but if you can do a live on Instagram, then you seem to get much more interaction. More people hop on straight away. You know, you don't have to have 1 million followers to do anything on Instagram. You just need a relatively small but engaged audience, and that's the key. And as Polly was saying, it's about being social. It is called social media. It is not broadcast media. It is not there just posting an advert and then running off and then coming back and thinking, oh, why hasn't anything happened? You have to be active on the platform. And certainly, you know, Instagram is one of my favorite channels at the moment. and Instagram will reward you for being an active member of the Instagram community. So take part, share some love, put some likes out there, share other people's posts that maybe they are businesses that are local to you, and they might be complementary businesses that you know, don't be worried about competition, because we are all unique. Whatever business you've got, you are unique. So I don't want to go on too long, but quite passionate about that.
Nicola, I
That-
think it's so true. I think it's so true, and I think it's just worth picking up on the, Julie, if it's okay with you, picking
yes.
up around paid media with this as well, because I think it's so easy to break those two conversations. And look, that blue boost button on Facebook is making Mark Zuckerberg really rich, and you need to see that blue button as you're making somebody else rich. No, you're not making yourself rich. And what I'm really passionate about is helping people learn how to build custom audiences on Facebook. And that may sound utterly terrifying, but actually, until you can do that, the boost button is more good for Mark Zuckerberg than it is for you.
Yeah.
And the most valuable thing you can do, as Nicola said, is learn how to generate engaging conversations. Because every time you create an engaging conversation, I guarantee you can build a custom audience off the back of it, so that when you do any paid media, you're targeting people that have met you before. Because social media is no different from any other form of marketing. It's about how many touch points. And so when you spend money, you want to spend money on people that have either bought from you before, or seen your social media content before, or engaged with your content. And that's how it starts to work. But it all begins by starting that conversation. And think of it just like meeting people. You've got to be you, and you've got to do something that's going to make them stop and think, oh, you've got to stop their thumb, you've got to stop the scroll, and you've got to make them think, oh, that's an interesting thing. I love that dress. I want to go buy that dress. Or I didn't know they did that. Is that how they make their sauce? That's fun. Make it fun.
Absolutely. One of the questions that we had was about some of the tools around using, being able to create content and being able to make those things fun. And we were asked specifically a question about Canva. Somebody asking what is it and how is it used? Could either yourself, Nicola, or perhaps Polly, or I don't know whether Fraser, whether you use Canva.
I'm quite happy to jump in on that one if you like. Canva, CANVA, is a free to use tool. Definitely consider using that if you are struggling at all with images. Because if you are heading onto Instagram, we all know it's image heavy. You have to have, people will see your image before they see your caption. So you need to make it something that's going to stop the scroll. So make it an interesting image. I maintain you should try your best to use your own images, because they are completely personal to you. And as Polly was saying about being authentic in your business, it's about you. It's about perhaps the team that you've got. You know, you can do lots of behind the scenes images. And I think that the key is, you know, we've all got a phone in our pocket nearly all the time. Most of them have got a pretty good camera on them. Think about creating a bank of images so that you've got things to use all the time. Now, those images you can then import into Canva if you wanted to be a little bit fun with your design. It will take you longer, obviously, if you're going to do that. So if you're a bit sort of time poor on that side of things, you can use Canva and just use the pictures that are in it. Or but it is essentially a design tool that, although it can take a little bit of time just to get your head around it, once you have, it's really straightforward. And then you can build yourself a template that you can use again and again and again, or you can use some of the templates they've got and take colors from things like your logo. You can upload your logo into there as well, so that you can brand things if you wish to do it that way. So hopefully that helps. It does need pretty much a full tutorial, but definitely I use Canva. I have got the professional version because I'm creating lots of things all the time. It just means that you're not paying for additional images, but there are always some free images to use.
I'd agree with you, Nicola. I mean, we use Canva a lot, but one thing I'd like to bring to everybody's attention is that I had to look for the session on the percentage of businesses that are active on social media across Hemel, Tring, and I put Wendover in as well. And we can see, because I said we look at 3.9 million businesses on a daily basis, we can see that the winner, if you like, is Hemel Hempstead. And come on, let's guess. What percentage of businesses do you think are active on social media and Hemel on a daily basis, on average?
If there's anybody in the able to pop something on the chat. Any guesses, anyone? 60%?
No. So on a good day, on the best day over the last month, it's 49%. On the worst,
okay, yeah.
on the worst day, it's
wasn't
37%, which is above the national average. So I think, Nicola, I would say that it's so easy with social media, and I don't know how you feel about this, to overcomplicate it. And actually, a really good human picture will score heaps above a well-coloured branded picture.
Definitely, because it's trying to make something that's original to you as well.
Yeah.
Because Canva is brilliant as a backup,
Yeah.
I would say. And if you're thinking done is better than perfect, get it out there. You want to get your message out there. You don't want to be stalled thinking, oh, it's not quite right, or I haven't done that bit quite right, or this is taking me forever. Don't go down that route. It's because you'll end up not using it at all. And it is such a powerful tool for you to use, particularly now that, you know, don't get hung up on the things that aren't important. It's about getting your message out there, asking the questions that your customers probably want the answer to. Think about the questions that you're being asked and use those in your posts, and try and put a picture that is relevant to your business and to that post.
Absolutely. And I think I'd just go back to that whole thing of find the best post in your place and join the conversation, because you then get the vibe really well. Sorry, Julie.
That's okay. No, I was just scrolling through a couple of chats. We had a question about if Canva's just for Instagram or whether it can be used on Facebook as well.
Everything.
It can be used on all platforms.
Everything. Yeah, emails, booklets, flyers, you name it. Facebook ads, Facebook event banners, anything. Yeah.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, with all things, it's free. It's free, and then once you start to find the good bits, then you start paying some money. But it's all affordable, and
yeah, to get started. Absolutely.
I think I paid about £90 for the whole year to have the pro version. So, yeah.
Okay, I've got a question. Do I need a website as well as Instagram and Facebook? This is an interesting one, and I think it's one that cropped up at a recent training session that we did. Yeah, I'll hand that one to Nicola, because we were talking about this in the latest session, weren't we?
Yeah, personally, I think it's essential to have one, because social media is, as they say, rented land. So you don't own your followers. You spend a lot of time creating a following that could be used potentially by Facebook to, it can be very difficult to reach them when they change the algorithms, and then you need to start paying for advertising. It's difficult to reach them. So if you want to sell and have Facebook shops or Instagram shops, you have to have a website anyway, because you link through to the website. That's where the payment goes. If you just want to be able to keep in touch with them by having an email list, perhaps you want to ask for an email address in return for an offer. Perhaps you're a cafe and you say, oh, well, if you buy a coffee, you might get a free cookie or something like that. Or you could get a discount when you come into our clothing store if you sign up for this. And then you can use that email list as a way to keep in touch by sending a newsletter, for example. That helps build your audience, but it's good to have that, I believe. If a website is a bridge too far, have a landing page just so that you can collect those email addresses, which of course means you do then need an email service provider as well. Sorry, there's always something else. But the website is your content, and you can keep in touch with them, but the social media drives everything to your website.
Yeah, it's interesting, because there's there are so many different ways to reach the audience, aren't there? And it was quite an interesting view that the social media is kind of rented space. Polly, I'd be interested in your kind of views on that.
Yes, great. I mean, I think, look, let's not forget that Google is the biggest source of traffic on the web. And if you don't have a web page, then you're, to Nicola's point, you're sending traffic to rented space. So you do need a web page, but it doesn't need to be War and Peace. It can be a really clever landing page that, as Nicola says, is to get your email address, so you can talk to customers again. But I think Facebook is where you have to, all social media is where you have to keep showing up, and you need to find where your customers are. So it's an irritating blend of systems you've got to have. Where Canva comes in is because you want them all to look like you're part of a family. You can't look like the Adams family. It's got to sort of, it's got to blend, right? You've got to go to your website, go to Facebook. But I think the key thing here is, say you need a website and you need to pick a social media channel. You know, we've seen businesses who are doing extraordinarily well, you know, selling an extra £1,000 a day, having mastered one thing on Instagram and with a fairly moderate website. And they wouldn't mind me saying that, but what they've done is get all the pipe work right. It doesn't matter quite so much about the look sometimes as have you managed to get hold of the customer, hold the customer's hand, make sure you can retarget them on Facebook effectively. And when I say Facebook, that means across the ad network of Facebook and Instagram, because actually it's those touch points that make you sell product. It doesn't matter whether you're B2B or whether you're B2C, it's keeping showing up that sells product. And so get less blown away by what you've got to do, which is, well, actually, where is my customer and how am I going to keep my arms around them the most? And that's what determines, yes, you got a website, and then which channel do you do? Don't try to do all of them, and do make them look like one family.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because a question just literally came in. How do I know which platform my customers use? Anybody like to take that one?
Yes, please. Yes, please. So go and look at your nearest competitor. Go look at nearest competitor and see which they're most popular. So pick your 3 nearest competitors and go and look at which social channels they use. And aim high.
So basically, you've got to stalk them then, haven't you? Really, you've got to stalk your competition and see what they're up to.
That's why we've got the Maybe platform, because it's that. And again, it's like Canva. You can do that for free. You literally, particularly if you're starting out, put in the businesses that you think are doing much better than you. So it's a good example. We've got some retailers who have aimed really high and followed, independent retailers who've done things like aimed high and followed Gucci and followed Russell and Bromley and literally followed their moves, and they're now absolutely smashing it. Because you watch it, you think, oh, I get it. I get what they're doing. You know, aim high, follow Primark, follow ASOS. It's incredible what you can learn. They've got, you know, they've got pros being paid to do it, and just go and watch. It's a masterclass. And then you'll see where you and think, is that where my customer is? Are they using Instagram? Are they using Facebook most? And you know, people, you get the question, well, shall I use TikTok or shall I use this or shall I use that? And I don't know about you, Nicola, but I'd say stick to the basics. I'd say nail it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm with you. I think it's a tough place to start, but I'd pick your runner and rider and nail it on one of those channels first.
That's really good advice. We also had a question sent in advance about LinkedIn. I'll just find my question. Where did it go? Something about LinkedIn on here somewhere. Oh, what is LinkedIn milkshake? Anybody heard of LinkedIn milkshake?
No, I think that's Linktree.
Oh, Linktree.
Linktree and milkshake.
Oh yeah, I need to get better glasses, clearly.
Getting a bit of feedback. So Linktree is where you can put your one link on your social media bio and it will send you to lots of different places. So think about where you want to send them. And the reason for this is a lot of the, well, certainly Instagram, there's only one clickable link. And you can't put links in your posts on Instagram unless you've got more than 10,000 followers, and not many of us have got those. So it gives you an opportunity to send people to lots of different places. So you'll probably notice if you're looking through Instagram, you'll quite often see that people saying link in bio. Well, if you go back up to the bio, and my top tip is when you say link in bio, put your own handle It makes it easy for them to get back to your, oh yes, Fraser, thank you very much for putting that in there. Linktree again is free.
For LinkedIn.
And it means that you could put up to, well, there's a free version, there's a paid version as well. Of course, there's always a paid version, but the free one is fine. You've got a couple of different colors, and maybe if I could just, I'm not going to share my screen or anything, but I can just show you what it looks like so that you get an idea. Here we go. So on, can we see that? Can you see I've got a link tree there? I'm going to click on that. Oh, it's a bit slow. And then you get, so it kind of looks like that, and you can change your colors. So you end up with lists of things that you want to do, whether it's read my blog or sign up here for a discount on something, or visit my website, or, you know, what else have we got? You know, those kind of, or connect with me somewhere else, or, you know, if you're on Instagram, maybe you want to say you're on Facebook. I don't think you would want to send traffic that way particularly. I mean, Facebook is so useful if you want to go down the groups section, the groups line, because you can't do that on Instagram. It's great for doing all your retargeting of your advertising, should you get to that stage down the line. And it's also good for lives. If you want to do any, like a sale, you might want to say, okay, I'm going to set a time, like an event, as a Facebook event, and you can go live into the event, and you could potentially sell during that. I have known people do that.
Really, really well. I think we've all become so video happy that I see the future of retail being very virtual, and the ability to serve customers. Again, we've seen lots of retailers spending hours and hours and hours dressing up in their, as their stock arrives, dressing up, doing stories, and quite real. It doesn't, you know, if it's nice and it doesn't have to be perfect. I think this is that's where I get worried about Canva, which is it's much better to be real and funny and go, you know, if your boobs are big, buy a 14, and actually this wash is well. You've got to make people laugh. You've got to stop it. You've got to make, you know, and sometimes that whole desire to be too perfect can spoil it. Linktree is brilliant. I think Milkshake's just another version of Linktree, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, make it real, people. You've got to cut through, and that's all about being real.
Okay, great.
Can I just suggest, there's a lovely lady who runs a shop called The Present Barnet, and if you have a little look on Instagram, she will quite often just pick up her phone, she'll do a live on Instagram, and she'll walk around the shop and say, look, this is what we've got new in. Here are some gifts for men. And if you need some ideas for Mother's Day, I know we've had Mother's Day, but I remember seeing her do that. And it was just so brilliant. And it was just her, you know, oh, she may have had somebody actually pointing the camera at her, so maybe somebody was holding while, so that she had her hands free to show the stock. But it doesn't have to be difficult. As Polly said, it really doesn't have to be difficult. And I think the key to any of this live stuff or any video is getting over the fear of doing it in the first place, because we worry too much about what other people think. And most people are out there cheering you on. They really want you to be successful. It's been so dire for everybody. And you've seen with the people queuing up to go into this shop and that shop, or going to try and book a seat in a pub, or, you know, wherever it is, people are really excited that you're back and ready to go, and they really want to support you. So don't try and get rid of the fear. And once you've done a few, it doesn't feel so bad after all. It's just getting over those first few. First is the worst. Get over it, and then it'll be fine. You'll be absolutely smashing it in no time.
I'm going to drop a link into the chat actually for a lady called Laura. She's from Laura & Co. And this lady, I promise you, is not. If you go look at her website, it won't blow you away. But her Instagram stories have sold her. She's got 3 stores, and she's going to shut them, and she's now earning an extra £1,000 a day by doing stories and retargeting the people that watch her stories. Because her stories, she dresses up all day long. You're not going to buy something the first time you see that story. But if you get retargeted based upon that lovely video where she told you if your boobs are too big or whatever it is, you know, you remember that. It's those little funny moments. If you then get retargeted by that ad, you do buy it. she's caught me out endless times, and it's absolutely transformed her business. And she doesn't actually do anything else on social. She just does her stories and then retargets those customers. And once she's learned how to do that, and she you know, it's you don't have to do everything. Do one thing well, and then you'll start doing other things.
I'd like to just ask Fraser if he's got anything to sort of add from the point of view of the support that is coming through for businesses. I think particularly around this sort of the use of video. I think it's one of the things that has been quite strong, hasn't it, Fraser, around you know, things like appointment setting, you know, actually trying to engage whilst people have been distant and unable to get into into the premises, into the actual premises. Talk to us a little bit about some of the businesses we've supported, Fraser. I think that would be useful for people to hear.
Yeah, sure. I think there's obviously, as Nicola and Polly both said, just kind of getting started and getting things out there and having the confidence to put things out there is good. Then there's sort of that next question of, okay, what do I say? What do I show? What specifically for my business can I do? And sometimes it does just take a little bit of a brainstorm with someone, either from your team or from our team, who might just be able to throw some ideas out there and give you some thoughts on what you might want to show. In terms of things that sort of, we've talked a little bit about what the major platforms are, but in terms of some of the features that people are trying out, we've mentioned lives. The other one that a lot of businesses have been getting excited about, that we've been working with, is Instagram Reels, which obviously it's a relatively new feature on the platform that allows you to basically make sort of short videos that you can cut together. You can add sort of very simple effects or music to it. But it's just another way, the Instagram Reel, of connecting with people via video. And I think the ones that seem to be most successful for people are ones that are relatively simple, but showing off maybe your more creative side. If you're in a sort of retail or some kind of business that involves design. If you're in a more of a service business, you can even use these short videos to answer frequently asked questions or provide advice or things like that in a sort of short format. So that's another thing that people have been doing. So that's one to look out for, Instagram Reels. I guess there's one other sort of thing that's come up with a few businesses recently, which is doing takeovers or collaborating with other businesses to get a bit more reach. So it's basically, how can you get yourself featured on someone else's account? So it could be that you, if, let's say you provide a service, like let's say you're an accountant, for example, you might want to ask the local chamber of commerce, for example, can I answer people's questions on your account? Or provide some sort of advice on your account for free, and then people hopefully click through back to your account. If you've got suppliers, so let's say you're a retailer, could you ask one of them to create content for your account, which will in turn promote them, but also promote the fact that you stock their products or that you work with them? So those are just a couple of things that have come up recently that have been working for people looking to grow your audience. So I think, especially if you're going back to, I think, one of the very first questions we asked of how do you sort of get started, collaborating with others is definitely something to look at.
Fraser, can I just sort of pick up on that, because I think it's a point that everybody gets quite confused on, which is that there's more and more content in the world every day. There's more content being created than ever before, and we had this with a interior design lady, and she was under the impression, because she said, I don't know how to post. I said, well, look, you stock beautiful wallpaper, you've got beautiful paint. Why don't you just reshare your brands? And she said, well, I need to ask their permission for that. I said, no, you don't need to ask their permission. You can just go and reshare that content. So I think it's really important that businesses understand you don't need to ask for permission. You don't need to go and get people to create content for you. You can use the content that's already out there, and do incredibly well with it. Remember to tag people in, Remember to say why you love it. You know, for you, when you engage in other people's content or reshare it to your feeds, it's as valuable as creating the content yourself. And there's oodles of it out there.
There was a question previously, actually, which is about tagging. Do you have to actually follow the people that you tag in? So is there an exercise that you've got to actually sort of follow the people that you think you might want to tag? Talk us through the whole kind of tagging experience, because it is something that a lot of people get confused about.
That's a good question. I'll answer it. Nicola, I'll give my cheeky answer, and you can tell me when I'm talking complete. So it is a bit lucky dip, and you can't spam people. Again, it comes back to that. You know, would you do it in a bar? And if you you know, would you go up to a complete stranger and start a full-on conversation with them? The answer to that is no. Then you can't really start tagging people that you don't know at all. It's just bad manners. That's spam. Yeah. But one of the key things is that, you know, and I think in the glorious world where we can start meeting people again, you often meet people and have a little flurry of activity, and then you both forget about it. And one of the sort of core values that we really work on with the platform that we deliver is that once you start engaging with something, their content's always in your feed, so you can re-engage with them, because it's that continued conversation that builds relationships. Again, that's in the free product. I'm not selling you anything. And it's building those relationships. And once you've got a relationship, you tag people as much as you like, and people love it. But don't abuse it. You know, you've got to earn the right to tag. It's not about, are you following them and sort of being a bit analytical. You've got to like their content. You know, start just you got to schmooze them. Is that fair, Nicola?
Absolutely, it's all about relationship building. You know, in the same way as you would. There are certainly organizations who would love to have you tag them. So if you're a member of an organization, you know, for example, the Chamber of Commerce, or you're working within this program with Dacorum, so you would be able to tag them in. They would love it because it gives them something to retweet or share or whatever. There will always be certain people who say, you know, I don't want to be tagged in something. So yes, you have to be really careful. Don't be just going out and tagging because you think, oh yeah, I'm going to tag them, that's good, because they are just going to get annoyed. You know, they get irritated. They may even block you. So do be careful about that, but it's got to be relevant as well. You know, tag people who are relevant to the conversation. But there is, you know, I wanted to sort of add on with that collaborations we were talking about. I know certainly in my town, there's during the time when, you know, people weren't able to go out. So, I mean, I know we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Our local fish and chip shop, which had a sit down area, started doing takeaways and then used the local taxi firm to deliver them, because the taxi firm didn't have any work because people weren't going out anywhere. So it was a really nice collaboration, and then they were able to sort of talk about it on social together. So that was quite a nice piece. The other thing about content, when we worry about creating content and you think, oh, you've done it and it's gone, remember when you create your stories in your Instagram Instagram stories, as long as you've got a business account and not a personal account, they will then sit in your archive. That means you can go back and access that at any time and reuse it. I wouldn't reuse it the next day or the next week, but, you know, people will forget. I mean, there'll be some stuff that's completely irrelevant because it was of the moment, but there will be other things that you think, oh, I could probably use that again. So don't think that you've used it once and done. It is there for reuse, and think about what you can repurpose as well. So perhaps if you've taken a live video, before you press share on it, at the end of your live video, it gives you the option to share, to download. So download that video onto your phone. If you're using your phone, I'm assuming you are because you're out and about, but you get the option to download that. So that sits then in your camera roll. You could chop that up, use smaller pieces, snippets, create some reels out of it. You know, if you've already done it, then use it again, you know. So don't try to worry too much about that. I noticed somebody popped in the chat something about reposting on Instagram.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that one. I was just going to bring that
I
up.
prefer to simply use the paper aeroplane and share it. You'll see there's under the post there'll be a paper aeroplane, so you can share that usually to your stories. That automatically will tag them in, and then they'll know that you tagged them because they'll get a notification. Reposting, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not a massive fan, but I would just try and share it. But if you repost something, make sure you tag in the person who created that content in the first place. And then there was one other thing I wanted people to consider about user generated content is if somebody's bought something from you, try and encourage them for a testimonial. You know, or, you know, if it's clothing, maybe they could try it and say, oh, look, my fabulous outfits arrived today, or I've been to this store today, I've been able to buy this. You know, maybe they've ordered, you know, all during lockdown, a lot of cafes have been doing deliveries, you know, have that little slip of paper inside the box saying, we'd love it if you would take a picture and tag us, whether it's in the box or them enjoying it. Make sure that you've given them your handle, so make it as easy for them as you can, for them to literally take a picture, put it out there, they've got your information.
That's a really good tip, that one, Nicola. And there was a question that had been posted in advance about using competitions and promotional type activity. Again, don't know, Fraser, whether this is something that sort of crops up as part of the support program, but helping businesses to sort of consider that kind of activity and that kind of reach. Maybe there's something you could share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's different ways we've seen it done. Like, one again is collaborating. You know, if there's two other businesses that you already work with, or that, you know, provide a similar service, or that are your next door neighbors, or however it might work, that you can collaborate on maybe a giveaway. That can work well. Just, you know, making sure people follow both the accounts to enter and like and comment on a post. On Instagram, that can work well. Encouraging people to tag others as part of a giveaway, that can if you encourage people to tag others in the comments, that can get a bit of virality going. It also just can depend on your objective. If you want to just, you know, get more followers from sort of like-minded businesses, that's one way to go. You might also want to link it to an email sign up. So again, thinking about what Nicola was mentioning earlier, it might be that you pop a link to enter the competition into your bio on Linktree, or just direct from your Instagram account, so that you can get people to register their email, so you've then got their details to talk to them in the future about other initiatives that you're running. So yeah, it's definitely something that people have used to grow their account. I guess just got to think through and brainstorm out, you know, what can I give away that feels like the right amount to me and to the audience, that doesn't feel like sort of too small, or that's too costly for you. So just working out a little bit about what that would look like is a good idea.
That's really interesting, because another topic that had cropped up for discussion was around the using social media to actually generate leads. And so your social media, as we've been talking about, the sort of relationship building and the whole sort of connectivity around the brand and knowing who your audience are and so on. But then there's that next step. There's that kind of, how do we then turn that into a lead that is going to potentially bring me a new customer, if it's a business to customer, or a new contract if it's B2B type scenario. So any kind of tips or best practice and things that you should avoid?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the golden nugget of social media competitions, because it's really easy the social ecosystem is full of quite a lot of in inverted commas compass. So you can run a competition that looks amazing, but the question is, are they your customers? And one of the things that we're working with a lot of towns on is the ability to have a local guide that you can use. You can have a mechanic that encourages people to sign up for a local competition that makes the email intrinsic to that. And I think it'd be very careful if you're running competitions to make sure that what you're doing is going to achieve the objective you want. So you've got to be crystal clear and say, am I just looking, is it vanity? And do I want a whole host of followers? Because if you want to do that, that's fine. It's not necessarily because followers are vanity in their own right, because most of the platforms, it's about engagement that matters most. So I say, go and look at, actually I saw Boohoo are running a really great competition at the moment organically, as are ASOS. So go and look at Boohoo, go and look at ASOS. They're both doing it really, really well. Be careful and make sure you're staying the right side of the law. Either, again, for free, jump in the Maybe platform, we've got all sorts of articles on it. You just need to make sure that you are abiding the law for each platform and the way you're doing it. And yes, getting the email address is the golden nugget, and that we can help you with that, because otherwise you have to ask yourself, what have I achieved? Would you agree with that, Nicola, that not all competitions are treated equal?
Absolutely, because you can end up with a whole load of followers are just competition entries, and they're not relevant to your business. What you're aiming for is creating a warm audience who like what you do. They're not just in it for a freebie. They want to actually, get to know a bit about you before they commit to spending money. And that's the whole point with social. You get the opportunity to give them a bit of a behind the scenes look. They can get to know what you do. And you might think, well, why do they need to know? People do that. That's how we shop. We shop with our emotions rather than, because otherwise that shop over there sells the same thing as that shop over there. I mean, usually they're a bit further apart than that, but you get the idea. There's a reason why somebody buys from that particular, whether it's a cafe or, people get emotionally attached to things, and they get emotionally attached to the stories you tell about learning a bit about you. And why is it she's in business? Why is it he's in business? What is it that they're doing that really captures the imagination and captures my attention as a consumer? Because not everybody is going to be the right customer for you. You're not going out there on social media to try and get the whole world to buy from you, because it's just not feasible anyway. You can only look after so many customers, unless you're Amazon. They seem to be able to conquer the world. But for the majority of us, it's a matter of connecting with those people who resonate with what you're about, and they want to buy from you because they like you, and they can see what you're doing because you're giving them an insight into how you, whether it's preparing your the shop layout, why you're putting things, why you're mixing this with that, why are there particular suppliers you like to buy from? Is it to do with their ethics, their sustainability, the kind of, we know the trail, we've got a paper trail of not necessarily a paper trail, but a trail of where that product has come from. Things have got provenance. It's those kind of things that that really start resonating with people. So that's what you're looking to build up, that relationship to encourage them to buy from you.
Right. There was a question whilst everyone was chatting around captioning of videos, and I can see that it's been answered in the chat for the. I think it's been shared with the audience, but just in case it hasn't managed to filter through to everybody, there was a question about whether we should be captioning videos and sort of selfies and things like that. That I think the answer to that was yes.
Because a lot of people watch video with sound off. And of course you want things to be accessible as well. There is captioning software. There's a little app called Clips, CLIPS, which will do a pretty good job of just captioning as you speak. I've had this before where some of my Facebook lives have been captioned afterwards, but not always. So I don't really know what the difference is. So I don't want to say, oh, it definitely happens, because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But they are trying to keep up, I think, with the volume of videos to make sure that captioning is there, because they can see the importance of that as well.
Okay, great. Another topic that got sort of flagged up in advance was that of sort of the use of influencers in social media, and whether that's something that people need to do, whether it's a kind of a nice to do. What's your thoughts on that? What's your advice on engaging with influencers and the value that they can bring?
Can I give that a go? So number one, what on earth is an influencer? I mean, your customer, let's take the social media jargon out of it, because actually your customers are your influencers. It's the people that are your fans. And so if you're let's go back to the numbers again. With less than 40% of businesses active on social media, it's about getting out the door. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are engaging with the people that your fans, and that's what an influencer is. So don't try and trace the stars. Make sure that and it goes back to that engagement piece as well. If you start engaging with other people, you will create influencers. You want to be the first influencer, because once you become an influencer, other people want to work with you too. And an influencer doesn't mean you've got thousands of followers. It just means that every day you invest 10 minutes in going and being nice in other people's content. You invest 10 minutes in making other people's phone go ping. You will become an influencer. And that means that when you do that to them, they will do the same to you, and you will be doing influencer marketing before you don't need to talk about it. Talking about influencer marketing makes me cross. Sorry. Media nature is influencer, and people get so you can confuse so many people so fast. Genuinely, work on being an influencer yourself by being nice to other people. Remember good social manners. And then you are becoming an influencer. Other people work with you, and social media works because of influence. Full stop.
That's a really good tip, and it's quite interesting because we had been asked previously about how much time do people need to invest in their social media strategy and the delivery of what they do on a daily basis. I mean, what's a good rule of thumb?
It's like swimming. Get in and swim. Just get in and swim. Social media is brilliant because it's so fast. If you really make a mess of it, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. You want to get in and start. You've got to get in and start pedaling that bicycle. And so I would say make sure that you engage 9 times as much as you post at minimum. It's really addictive. Make it your job when you're on the sofa. Just go twiddling through and have a look at people, and you're learning as you're engaging.
A question just came in. How many posts do you recommend posting a day? That's a
I think
question.
This goes back to the how much time are you planning to commit to it? How many other things have you got going on in your business? And be realistic. I wouldn't go out and just say, oh my God, I've got to do 10 posts a week and I'm never going to keep up with it. Because if you set yourself a bar like that straight out of the gate, you will drop off because you'll just think this is just too much. It's too overwhelming. Start small. And as Polly said, absolutely engage with other people. That if you haven't even started your account yet, that's where you want to start. Start with engaging, because then people start noticing you. If you throw a few likes out. So say you've got people you think that you're interested or maybe interested in you, start having a little look at which other businesses have got followers that might be the kind of followers that you would like. See which ones are actually engaging with that content. And then you can have it's a little bit stalkerish, but you need to get started somehow. And if you just bear in mind, for each time you put a like on somebody's post, they will get a notification. If you were to put, say, 3 post likes for one person, you are then going to show up in their notifications 3 times. And what would you do if somebody showed up in your notifications 3 times? I bet you would go and have a look, because you would think, who is this person? It is human nature. We are kind of nosy by nature. And I think it would be really surprising if they didn't come back, have a look at you, and probably follow you. So that's
Quick question, should we be using direct messaging?
Where relevant, where polite. And definitely if somebody starts getting ratty with you, don't have a row publicly, always take that to the
that is a good point, actually, because I think that that can actually put people off engaging in social media, just in case they get some kind of negative feedback. I mean, what, again, best practice advice on any negativity? So that's don't get into it.
Yeah, can I do that one? I think what we've all seen, people having public rants, right? And again, it's okay, take it back to the bar. I'm sorry, I'm bar-tastic at the moment. But if you see somebody behaving badly and having a rant in a bar, do you think, yeah, get in there, or do you actually think, oh gosh, that's actually not very nice, and you step away and you feel sorry for the person they're having a go at? The best thing to do is, if somebody's having a go at you publicly, you say publicly, can we move this to a DM? And then don't engage with them. Because actually, if you start going back at them and you start having a row, other people go, you know, it's just, you never win. You just can't win. And so you want to take it offline. And if they refuse to take it offline, then don't engage. It's my experience. I would love to hear everybody else's thoughts on it, because you can get into deep water really quickly.
Go for it, Fraser.
Yeah, I think I totally agree on the point about negativity. I think on the direct messaging question, really good opportunity to have, you know, answer questions with customers, provide any extra value you can. If someone has taken the effort to send you a message or send you a question, it's a really fantastic relationship building tool to then know that they're reading your direct messages. And also, if you do see another Instagram account that you are looking to partner with, the direct message is a great way to connect with that person privately, and hopefully they'll respond to you, you know, come back to you through it. So as Polly was saying earlier, you know, don't spam, don't reach out where it's not relevant, but definitely use it to your advantage.
Thank you. Thanks ever so much. We've certainly covered all of the questions that were sent in to us in advance. In fact, sorry, with the exception of there was the question about the about sort of Facebook, and you know, how can somebody, we talked about Facebook very early and said, you know, it's difficult to get reach, but how can somebody get additional reach without paying, without using that big blue button? Can it be done?
If you can run a competition, but the reach you get might not be the reach you want. Remember, Facebook is Instagram, it's WhatsApp, it's Messenger. It's much bigger than just Facebook. I think my view is that you have to have a presence on Facebook, but don't necessarily think about it as the place you get reach. I'm with Nicola, Instagram's the place you get reach. But if you want to get reach, you're going to have to spend some money, and that you want to do with a custom audience. And please come and talk to us, and we'll show you how to do that, because that is absolutely game changing. That's, if you can start to reach the people that already like and engage with the social media content, that's when we start to sell through social really effectively.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Can I just add on to that? Video and live video. The more of that you can put out, the more likely you're going to get some reach. It is really hard on Facebook. It's the size of it, the scale of it is just incredible. And they want their pound of flesh. So if you can bring yourself to put some video out there, then good luck to you.
Absolutely, Nicola. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Exactly.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yes, having the content to have a go, and just to sort of bring back to one of the points that Fraser discussed earlier, is around sort of reflecting, doing a little bit of a kind of a thought around what sorts of things might we do. And if you don't have a sounding board, that's why we're here. We're an extension of your team for the duration of the support that we're providing here at Dacorum. So please do contact us. We're here to help. If you haven't already done so, then please visit the website, which is SaveTheHighStreet.org/Dacorum. On there you can sign up for the free program. You can also take a health check survey, business health check survey. That in itself is a really great exercise, because it talks about specific areas of your business, really gets you thinking about those. If there's anything at all that we can help you with, you can reach us via email. You can easily get us on hello@SaveTheHighStreet.org. I think we've even got Dacorum, haven't we, Fraser? We've got a Dacorum at email address, which will get you straight through to the team that are looking after this area. In fact, yeah, Fraser's just popped that in there. So SaveTheHighStreet.org/Dacorum. If there is anything, any other final last shouts, we're about to kind of wrap up. In terms of the content from this video, it will be available as a recording. It'll go out to people that have booked a place. So if you've got people who registered, I saw there was one lady had said that somebody that a member of a family had registered but couldn't attend. Yes, she'll get a copy of the recording. We will also be popping the recording onto the Joe platform, and you'll be able to revisit that as well. So yeah, we're getting some thanks in from people, so thank you for the thank yous. If anybody wants any further support from Dacorum Council, you can contact Fraser Wilcox, who's actually on this session, but I didn't know whether you wanted to be put live, Fraser. I'll just take it that you're sharing your email address and people can reach you. It's fraser.wilcox@dacorum.gov.uk. Lots of thank yous saying how helpful it is, and yeah, it's been a pleasure to share this with you. And as I say, we're at the start of the support program, so there'll be lots more tips, techniques, and information that we can share with you as we go through. The next session is on the 12th of May. It's going to be looking at some of the online platforms in a little bit more detail, but from a sort of a sales perspective. We're also going to be looking at local collaborations in more detail as well. So please do book a place on that session, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. And I think that's it. So thank you again, and thanks for our panelists for joining us. So thanks to Polly and to Fraser and to Nicola. I think each of them have shared information in the chat box as well, but we can share their details when we send the recording as well, so that you definitely got their information. And yeah, thank you very much. I think that's probably us done. So I'll just do a quick wave and say thank you again, and have a good evening, everyone.